Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and my sponsor Link2 has been putting out some really cool tweets here lately. Watch this one.
Here's how to invest like the ultra-rich. The world's savviest investors don't just put money in the stock market and look away. They hunt for the next big thing and invest early before the rest of the market, hoping these ventures become billion-dollar success stories. Now you can do it too on Link2. Sign up, verify your identity and investor status, add funds, and invest in the leading pre-IPO companies shaping our world. Get started at link2.com.
And today I just saw an email come through that they've decreased the investment minimum. It's down to $2,500 for today at least, maybe for the weekend, I don't know, but at least today. So go check that out, linqto.com, or you can download the app. Check this out from Cointelegraph.
The removal of SAB 121, which restricts some US banks' dealings in spot and other custody type issues in the digital asset space. So I suspect that will go. I think it might go anyway under Harris, but almost certainly under Trump. You'd very likely see a change at the top of the SEC. The SEC under Gary Gensler has been also very negative on the sector in the last few years, although we did see a little bit of a pare back of that late last week around the security type issue. But that probably would be removed as well. You'll probably see more ETFs relatively quickly. Solana, I would say, would be the most likely third one. So that's probably the big ticket, let's say, regulatory changes. And given what's happening more broadly in other asset markets, I suspect it makes sense to be buying Bitcoin and other digital assets anyway. Specifically, you've now finally started to see the US Treasury curve, albeit very, very slightly. 10-year yields are above 2-year yields for the first time for a number of quarters now, and that's a marginally positive story. Within that as well, you've got inflation expectations up a bit, whereas real yields are down a bit. So again, that should be helping at the margin. And I suspect next month, we'll probably also get a more positive outlook on the ETF inflows to Bitcoin, which have been very, very soft through the summer months for about $17 billion so far this year. I suspect those inflows pick up again into the fourth quarter. So each of those stories should see us higher. If it's a Trump victory, quite a lot higher, up to 125 year end. Next year, I think 200,000 by the end of next year.
200,000 $200,000.
And then Jeff, just what the Fed expected to.
How about that? And then Michael Saylor, this is interesting. He's basically saying here that Bitcoin has 0.1% of the capital from all around the world, and he thinks it's going to get to 7%.
In terms of Bitcoin.
In terms of their view toward crypto and Bitcoin.
And let's say that it is a continuation of the Biden-Harris administration. Does Gensler take on a larger role? It becomes even more difficult?
That's all above my pay grade. What I would say is, my view is...
He would be Treasury Secretary? I mean...
You buy Bitcoin, you hold it for more than 4 years, Joe. That's my advice to everybody.
For anyone, buy it and hold it for more than 4 years. And then you think eventually it takes how much, let's say it is digital gold, what percentage of gold's market cap does it finally?
Bitcoin's 0.1% of the capital in the world right now. I think it's going to go to 7% of the capital.
7%?
My long-term forecast is it's going to go to 13 million over 21 years.
13 million.
13 million, but what is it 5 years from now? In your 4-year calculus?
It's been growing 44% a year with about a 40 to 50 vol. I would think it'll move on at 40%, then click down to 35, then 30, then 25, and at some point...
Okay, we get the picture. Now, the most interesting news from today is this right here. This is Senator Cynthia Lummis's general counsel, and he may have let the cat out of the bag here.
Co-Chairman, please. In past testimony, it's sounded like things have been shoring up in the House as well. more bipartisan support, more collaboration.
Yeah.
Anything else to report there, or is that still generally consistent with the direction things are going?
Councilor Land.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Co-Chairman Rothfuss, I think generally speaking, there's been a bipartisan eruption in both chambers. You know, the House passed FIT 21 with 71 Democrats, and, you know, we actually hit the magic number of 60 on the SAB 121 repeal in May, and getting 60 votes in the Senate's like climbing Mount Everest on a piece of legislation. So, like, I think there's a great deal of bipartisan interest in both chambers. One thing I neglected to mention in my update too, you know, that potentially has some bearing on the SPDI is Bank of New York Mellon is looking to get more involved in the crypto custody business. They had some problems with Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, and the SEC has apparently given them some kind of variance from SAB 121 to move forward. And also, part and parcel of that is the Fed, as the Fed regulates Bank of New York Mellon's bank holding company, they would have had to have given their non-objection under current, you know, legal requirements and guidance to Bank of New York Mellon getting into the digital asset custody business. So,
Mr. Co-Chairman, follow up.
We've had a theory.
Yeah.
Let him
Mr. Co-Chairman, there's a lot of
I never would have predicted it.
Yeah.
Indeed, it's a strange world we're in.
Yeah.
This is going to go in the All the World's a Stage file, by the way.
And in that vein, I mean, any sense? I mean, are they going to go through the BIT license process with the state of New York? Or are they kind of looking at alternative options? Or
Bank of New York Mellon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So they're going to argue the BIT license preempted, very likely.
Everybody's shocked.
Councilor Land, you know, in the
We got to go back, look at my archives years ago. We're talking about the BNY Mellon ties. Look at Metal Lawman here. The high integrity move would have been for the SEC to withdraw SOB 121 after the votes in Congress to repeal it. The low integrity move would be for the SEC to grant exemptions to certain well-connected big banks. Guess which move Gary Gensler chose. And then, but we've got a long history of covering the BNY Mellon ties to Ripple on this channel. Smoke points out one of them here. BNY Mellon classifies Ripple and Stellar as special blockchain infrastructure protocols. Does that make XRP and XLM special? Whereas Bitcoin, Ethereum, BitShares are public, but these are special. Wonder what infrastructure and base protocols, I wonder what special means. Now, this documentation I think is from a while back, but Riz comes in with another piece of documentation we've covered before. Ripple proof of concept. This is BNY Mellon documents, okay? Ripple Connect software. This is from a while back. This is when they didn't even call it, they called XRP Ripple back then. This is probably 2016-ish. There's also the curious case of Matthew Mellon. This is one of my favorite stories since I started this channel. This is one of the most interesting stories. Matthew Mellon, who was one of the heirs to the Mellon banking fortune, he apparently died of a drug overdose. But the story goes that he was one of the larger XRP holders, and I always ask the question, well, how did he know about Ripple? How did he know about XRP? And he also, by the way, Matthew Mellon was friends with the Donald Trump too. But he held a bunch of XRP. There were articles like this one written on him back in the day. Matthew Mellon, Ripple Treasure disappeared into thin air. I've never believed that, and I'll tell you why. Here's the way the story goes. Mellon, in fact, is said to hold private keys and cold wallets scattered around the United States, but without sufficient redundancy measures that would allow the recovery by third parties in case of need. Therefore, at present, those cold wallets are inaccessible to anyone. Now, any of you listening to my voice that have taken the time to put your digital assets on a cold wallet, there's not one of you listening to my voice who took the time to create a cold wallet that didn't write down your phrases or didn't write down your private keys and all that stuff. There's not one. What we're supposed to believe from this story is that Matthew Mellon was so conscientious and so paranoid that he had cold wallet. He took the time to go and put cold wallets all around the country. And yet he just flushed lost the private keys, flushed them down the toilet. Not in this lifetime, folks. That guy's private keys were put in a safe somewhere or several safes around the country while he was putting the cold wallets around the country. Make no mistake, that is not lost. I've never believed that story. It's a bunch of BS. So I've said, is he XRP's Satoshi that has a large holding and nobody really knows where it is? Now, it is not a coincidence. Remember, you got to remember who Chris Giancarlo is. He's the ex-CFTC chairman. He's the guy that approved Bitcoin futures and declared Bitcoin a commodity. The same guy who I told to his face there was a video of the 4 Satoshis meeting with Homeland Security, and he acted like he'd never seen it. And expressed no interest in me sending it to him think about it. Here's the guy that approved, that declared Bitcoin was a commodity and had no interest in seeing a video that says Homeland Security had met with him. There's your government psyop, folks. That's how you know this is a government thing. That's one of the many ways you know. Same guy works for, I think it's Wilmer Hale, and he was one of the attorneys that represents Ripple, okay? But none of them seem to ever be able to mention Ripple or or at least XRP. They can't talk about it. When they throw up a slide, they have to put Bitcoin, Ethereum, now Solana. They've added Solana to the mix. Why?
So what's the analogy of that to the next wave of the internet? Well, the next wave of the internet, the one that's upon us now, the one that is crypto, is an internet of value. And once again, it's about key protocols, but this time, the protocols are BTC for Bitcoin and ETH for Ethereum and Solana and Cardano and USDC. Those are the protocols that are allowing value to be networked and accessed by ordinary people. And that's the significance of the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper. The first protocol, not too different than HTML, not too different than Bluetooth, to allow value to be put on digital networks.
So he basically is referring to the Internet of Value. Chris Larson literally coined the phrase Internet of Value, but XRP's not up there. Go figure. Dr.XRP is directly over the target. He says it's almost as if they can't mention it for some reason. Now you're getting it. Just like the VC pump gang, all of a sudden, everybody that was involved in pumping Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then we uncovered ETHgate, and now it's Bitcoin, Solana, Bitcoin, Solana, Bitcoin, Solana. Same group of people that were talking FTX nonstop. It's almost, Dr.XRP has it directly over the target. It's almost as if they can't mention it for some reason. Bingo, bingo. Then John Deaton says on October 15th, we have our first debate. Senator Warren has effectively become America's #1 lobbyist for big banks. Never pay attention to what career politicians like Elizabeth Warren say. Pay attention to what they do. This is her coming off a Learjet. This video is the one we've shown you before where she gave Gary Gensler the answers, the guy she's supposed to have oversight of. Instead, she gives him the answers and makes sure that gives him the questions and make that she's going to ask in a congressional hearing, and wants to make sure that those aren't going to make him too uncomfortable. This is the one where she and Jamie Dimon are hanging out together and they're big buddies. But anyway, you get the point. Now, then she's got her goon Gary Gensler now going after Elon Musk. Imagine that. Gary Gensler's going after the one area, the X platform, that's got real free speech in America. And he's been instructed by his handlers, like Joe Biden, to go after the one place where you and I have free speech. These people are sick. All right, in DAIXRP.com, you want to see how sick they are? We've had not one, but 2 attempts that we can't talk about out here on X47. We've had 2. Everybody's predicting that there's going to be a 3rd, and that there are literal teams that have been sent to do it. What I'm about to show you is downright scary, and there are people with inside sources that are saying that they know what these guys are equipped and ready to do, and we're going to talk about that, and it is scary. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.